son that died. So, what makes Mark O'Mara so different than me or any other person? Even the people that have never believed the story from the beginning, they still always say in their videos or whenever they reference this, hey, it's a horrible thing for a 17-year-old to get shot. I don't care how bad he was, whatever. He deserved it, but I just want to show you just how full of crap this is, because he does not want, Bernie, we're referring to, Bernie does not want anybody to put together the fact that Mark O'Mara and Don West and the entire defense, they're not saying that they aren't empathetic to her situation. But I just want to bring this one little point up just to show you how Bernie is so bent on being deceptive and deceitful that he wants to interrupt something that is not even something that you should interrupt. But let's go.
Improper, not a question.
Okay, you need to make a question.
It was an improper. You need to ask a question. And of course, Judge Nelson, who's in on all of this, she agrees. He's total bull crap.
Excuse me?
You need to ask a question.
Will you tell us the first time that you listened to that tape, when you listened to it? Where were you?
I was here in Sanford.
Now, mind you, that she didn't come to Sanford when she heard that he had been shot. That speaks volumes. Come on, we're talking about the kid that you're turning the whole world over. When he got shot, when you found out the particulars, you didn't shoot to Sanford to go and be by Tracy's side, to go to the morgue and to go and identify. You didn't do any of that stuff. But let's go.
I believe it was the mayor's office.
And that was pursuant to a request made by your lawyers to have that tape released, correct?
That's correct.
And my understanding is that it happened actually in the mayor's office, correct?
Yes.
And there were no law enforcement officers present?
They were there, but they wasn't actually in the room.
They were actually not allowed in the room, correct?
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that, as she closes her eyes. Why would you not have law enforcement officers in the room when the recording is being played? The reason why you're not going to have law enforcement officers in the room when it's being played is because they would have to then testify to what they heard and what they thought, and they would have to testify to other things that were present there. Mark is showing the conspiracy.
Were you present there when Chief Lee was talking to the mayor and to city manager Bonaparte about the concern with having the tape released?
Objection is to hearsay.
I asked whether or not she was there. Yeah,
Your objection,
question.
Mark?
Look, they don't want her to answer anything that's incriminating. They don't.
Objection is to hearsay what somebody else said in her presence.
It will be sustained as to hearsay. Rephrase your question.
Were you there during the time that Chief of Police Lee, was having a conversation with the mayor and city manager Bonaparte?
No.
All right. That's a lie. She was there.
When the tape was played for you, who played it for you?
I'm not absolutely sure.
Not absolutely sure.
I'm just trying to remember back. I think it was the mayor.
It was not a law enforcement officer, correct?
It was not.
And who was in the room when that tape was played?
Trayvon's dad, Tracy Martin.
Now she's gonna go off a list of everybody who was in the room, but she said she was unsure just 30 seconds ago. She knows everybody, but before she didn't know anybody. Let's go.
Javaris Fulton. Stephanie Sands. Darian Sands.
Now she doesn't know it, but she's actually showing the bias. She's showing that there's no way possible that even when she knows that it's Trayvon doing the punching, harming George Zimmerman, she knows that she can't look like a fool. This is what Mark O'Mara is setting her up for. But because she's so wicked, she doesn't know that. She just like her and Rachel, they're so wicked, they're stupid. They try to be so smart, but when you try to be smart, people show you just how foolish you are. She doesn't even understand that he's destroying her story. But let's go.
Benjamin Crump, attorney Natalie Jackson. I believe Mayor Triplett was there, and that there may have been one other person. Not absolutely sure, but I think Bonaparte was there.
When you say Bonaparte, that's Sanford City Manager Bonaparte.
Yes.
Was the tape, the first time that you heard that tape, was it played at one time for everybody who was in the room?
Yes.
So that means that everybody who heard the tape, they knew the truth. Anybody with common sense can hear that and hear that it's George Zimmerman's voice. I don't care if you're on her side or not. That means everybody there knew the truth. This was a conspiracy, and I'm so glad that Mark O'Mara is pulling this out.
Did any one of those witnesses listen to the tape individually? Or was it all at one time?
I don't know if they listened individually, but that was my first time hearing it.
Well, had anybody indicated to you in that group that they had listened to the tape before?
No.
So you're exposing the fact that this was the first time that they were hearing it. There was no way that they could have heard the tape prior to you going to the office, because it was not made public and onto YouTube and on news channels until you, with Crump, forced them to turn over a 9/11 tape that they were not supposed to turn over, because it was evidence to show that it was George Zimmerman screaming. So by you illegally obtaining the copy of the tape, it puts you in possession of the story. It allowed you to say that it was your son doing the screaming. I'm so glad that Mark O'Mara is pulling out this conspiracy and this plan that they set in motion. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. The case is about those who are rational and those who are irrational. Let's go.
Did Tracy Martin tell you he listened to the tape before?
No.
Hold up. She's lying when she says that he had never listened to the tape before. You know why? Because Tracy Martin had already listened to the tape. So Reno allowed Tracy Martin to listen to the tape on Tuesday after this happened. So at this time, Tracy Martin says it's not Trayvon's voice. That was not going to sit well when Natalie Jackson found out about that and then told Ben Crump, who says to Sybrina Fulton, we got to get a copy of this 911 tape because they don't want to give us a copy of it. They let Tracy listen to it. But we're in Sanford. We're going to come up to Sanford and we're going to force them to give us that tape. We're going to get Al Sharpton. We're going to get Jesse Jackson. We're going to get all the stupid black people stirred up. And we're going to cause them to put pressure on the mayor and the police chief to release this. I just want to show you how the deception has been put together. I told you the glove's coming off.
Had you had any conversations with him about listening to the tape before that event?
No.
This is a lie. He had already said that he didn't. He said that it was not his son. put his head down and said no. She's lying when she says that he had never discussed with her the tape. This is what she wants you to believe, people. This is how simple you gotta be to believe a silly lie like that.
Imagine that it was probably one of the worst things that you went through to listen to that tape, correct?
Absolutely.
And that
No emotion. Absolutely. This is what a liar sounds like. Go ahead.
if it was your son, in fact, screaming as you testified, that would suggest that it was Mr. Zimmerman's fault that led to his death, correct?
Correct.
And if it was not your son screaming, if it was in fact George Zimmerman, then you would have to accept the probability that it was Trayvon Martin who caused his own death, correct?
She knows that this is the truth. She wants to admit it. But she's going to have to cause confusion in this moment. Watch this.
I don't understand your question.
I don't understand your question. Yes, you do understand the question. He's saying to you that if it were the other way around and it was your son causing the pain and the violence and was causing George Zimmerman to scream, doesn't that mean that Trayvon Martin actually brought it on himself by assaulting a man? She's going to say, I don't understand your question. That just simply means I don't want to answer your question.
If you were to listen to that tape and not hear your son's voice, that would mean that it would have been George Zimmerman's voice, correct?
And not hear my son screaming?
And not hear my son screaming? This is the Jezebel trait. The Jezebel trait, one of the traits of the 31 traits, is that they talk in circles. She already knew how to answer the question. She's supposed to say no. But if she says no, she knows that she's sliding down a slippery slope. But in her mind, she thinks that she's being so smart by turning it around. Let's go.
Is that what you're asking?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what you're asking? That's not what he just asked you. And you know that. And you just cleverly, and you're a little simple mind, you think you just diverted the question. But anybody who has any common sense, they know exactly what you just did, as I do.
I heard my son screaming.
I understand.
Hold on. You did not answer the question. He asked you, if you had not recognized your son's voice on the recording, that automatically means that it was the other person screaming. She says, and that's not my son? Answer the question. But she won't. She doesn't have it in her. She's not built like that.
The alternative, the only alternative, would you agree, would be that if it was not your son screaming, that it would be George Zimmerman, correct?
Objection is to speculation.
Hold on. Objection to speculation. Now, this liar here wants us to believe that it was somebody watching. It could be somebody that was watching that was screaming for help. And not the guy who had his nose broken, not the guy who was getting his head hit and it was hitting up against the concrete, who has the scars to prove it. It was not that guy. It could have been one of these